What a time to be gaming. Monster Hunter Wilds has been released and I thought I'd share my thoughts and experiences with the game. Now the initial release of Monster Hunter happened in 2004, which is almost 21 years ago. The franchise may even be older than some of you watching this video. Unfortunately it's not older than me. I'm older than Monster Hunter, sadly. Now, I started my journey in Monster Hunter World, and I fell in love with the franchise, so I might be a little biased when I'm talking about Monster Hunter. I really adore the franchise. It's just so good. I've always been fascinated with games similar to this. Games that have a co-op aspect where you have a co-op goal to achieve, and it involves slaying a big bad monster. Games like Evolve, the raids in Destiny have always been up my alley. I've always enjoyed those games. So when it came to Wilds, I wanted to do it right. I wanted to have a team who had the same passion for Monster Hunter that I had. Naturally, we went to the last installment and played Monster Hunter Rise, followed by Sunbreak in anticipation for Monster Hunter Wilds. Now, as we were playing Monster Hunter Rise, I mentioned to my fellow comrades in arms that all Monster Hunter games are just the same and might be slightly different when the new one comes out. They're mostly the same. They of course refuted this, saying that Monster Hunter Wilds will be different, next gen, if you will. But they too have now come to accept, after playing Monster Hunter Rise, that all Monster Hunter games are pretty much the same. They all have the same weapons, which all have the same combos, maybe with slight additions like Focus Mode in Wilds, or the Wire Bug in MH Rise, or the Grapple in Monster Hunter Iceborne. But overall, the games are similar, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. The formula is simple, and it works. You start by making your way, hacking, slashing, or bashing the monster's face in. You carve them for parts, progress through the story, which is always the same. Monster appearing, threatening the existence of the world you are in, which you will eventually beat, and then there will be another bigger, badder monster waiting for you. You usually hit a wall. When you hit that wall, you have to go research the monster's weakness, build gear in preparation for the hunt, and learn the monster's moveset. Once you overcome the wall standing before you, you will be greeted with another monster with different moves and different weaknesses that you have to master. And that is the formula, rinse and repeat. That is Monster Hunter in a nutshell. Many people like myself, even in the past, thought that this sounds boring, monotonous, repetitive. But I've come to accept that Monster Hunter is truly great. The gameplay of Monster Hunter can sometimes look clunky to those who aren't familiar with the franchise, but it's anything but. The amount of effort that goes into these games has always astounded me. Now, in Wilds, and pretty much every other Monster Hunter game before that, there are 14 unique weapons. Mastering a weapon can change the gameplay dramatically, so you always have an option to switch it up. I've always liked the longsword, as it's just pure anime, and I think it's completely up my alley. But picking a different weapon will be essentially like playing a different game. The weapons are all fun to use, even the Insect Glaive. I had my time with the Insect Glaive in Monster Hunter World. I really liked fighting Behemoth with the Insect Glaive. That shit was so much fun. I wouldn't do that with Fatalis because that guy would wreck me. But Behemoth, it was passable. It was passable. In Wilds, you have the option to bring a secondary weapon if you wish. So if you wanted, you could have a longsword, which is what I do. And if the monster is moving too much, take out your hammer and bash its skull in, which is my secondary weapon in Wilds. Wilds also has weak spots. Now, these were also in Monster Hunter Iceborne, but worked slightly differently. In that game, you have to grapple onto the monster twice to create a weak spot. In Wilds, after hitting the monster consecutively in the same spot, you will create a weak spot, which can then be attacked in focus mode for some massive damage and toppling the monster over. In World, you had to run everywhere. However, in Monster Hunter Rise, you have a dog to help you with traversal, and in Wilds, you have a Sacred. It makes sense as the maps are huge in Wilds, and the scale is truly amazing, so you do need something that helps you with traversal, and I'm happy that you don't have to run everywhere, as you did in Monster Hunter World. Now, there have been some complaints about Monster Hunter Wilds. A lot of people have said that Wilds is now too easy. I do feel that this is a little unfair to say, especially if you have played another Monster Hunter game previously. The amount of stuff in these games that they throw at you straight off the bat, if you've never played a Monster Hunter game before, it can be a lot, and it will throw a lot of people off. Now, when me and the boys were playing Monster Hunter Rise, I'd obviously played World previously, but the boys had never played a Monster Hunter game. So for them, it was just like a shit ton of information shoved into their face, and they were like, God damn, this game makes absolutely no sense. I would often have to repeat myself on how certain mechanics work, stuff like the radial menu or creating loadouts, healing your teammates before the mission fails, picking a weapon that suits you. So many things, a gajillion items which you have no idea how to use. It can be very overwhelming for a new player. Now I'm certain, but I suspect because the franchise is always going to bring in new players with a new release, because of that, they make the initial game a little easier so that the newer players aren't too overwhelmed and drop the game. I feel like that's what they've done with Wilds and slightly with Iceborne and Monster Hunter Rise. Then a year will pass, as it did with World and Monster Hunter Rise, and they will bring out the challenge for everyone in the form of a DLC expansion. That's how it works in Monster Hunter World Iceborne, that's how it worked in Monster Hunter Rise / Sunbreak, and I feel like that's how it's going to work in Wilds as well. Another aspect of why I think people think that this game is too easy is because the game gives you NPC hunters that are so good. They're so good. Olivia is a legend, bro. Olivia takes no shit. She's actually always fighting the monster. She never backs down. Olivia is awesome in this game. If you know Olivia, you know what I'm talking about. I might even say that the NPC hunters are better than the average player, average new player, because they'll be healing your team, they'll be placing bombs, they'll be placing traps, making good callouts. Honestly, the NPC hunters, well, when you're fighting Jin'Dihad in this game, they all go behind cover if you don't know where the cover is. Like, just follow the NPC hunters, do what they do, and you'll eventually win the game. A lot of the times when I'm healing, the NPC hunters are holding the monster back. Like, they're doing really good stuff in this game. And one last thing that I'm not even mentioning is that the NPC hunters, they can never die, whereas the players can. And because they can't die, they're truly insane. It just makes the game easy and more accessible for the newer hunters. Veteran hunters probably shouldn't be firing SOS flares because it might make the game a little unenjoyable for them. Like, it might be too easy. Now, I'm a fanboy, and I might be being a fanboy here, but I'd like the community to be patient. Like, Wilds has said that they plan to release some challenging monsters in April. They want everyone to get up to the same level, and then in April they're going to release some new monsters, which isn't too far away. April's literally like a month away. And they will also periodically, as time goes on, they've already started to do this with event quests, but they'll add more event quests as time goes on. The event quests currently in the game, they're a bit rubbish. They're about 4-star or 5-star. They're very easy to do. But as time goes on, there will be more quests. There'll be more stuff to grind for. In World, what I especially liked was you could grind out Dante's armor. So you could look like Dante in the game. In Rise, you could do that for Akuma. You could look like Akuma in game from the Street Fighter franchise. I believe Akuma's from Street Fighter. Correct me if I'm wrong. But you can... Eventually, there will be stuff to grind for that will make your appearance similar to other games. Like, in Rise, you can also make your cat or Palico look like Sonic. Stuff like that, like the layered armor. There's always going to be stuff to grind for in these games. And you just need to wait a little bit before they release all this content. I would like more content from the get-go, I'm not going to lie. I wish there was more stuff to do, especially in the endgame. Now, that being said, the endgame in Monster Hunter Wilds on release is a bit lackluster. There is usually only one 8-star quest, which is Tempered Arkveld, and there is some challenge to him, but after you fight the poor guy for 20 plus times, that quickly dissipates. Normally in the other games, getting to HR 100 would be the objective, which would give you the opportunity to fight one amazing challenging monster, which will give you the best weapon, the best armor in the game. And that was the goal in Base World with Behemoth, and that's what the goal was in Monster Hunter Rise with Crimson Glow, Valstrax. And then Sunbreak came out, and then Iceborne came out, and then that flipped it on its head, and you have to start the grind all over again. Both of those experiences, Monster Hunter World base game and Monster Hunter Rise base game, were both fantastic fights and just really good set pieces, like really, really good to like finish off like an already amazing game. Unfortunately, in Wilds, you don't have that. In Wilds, I'm not sure why they've done this, but I believe in Wilds all you get is the ability to meld 2 decorations together, or 2-star decorations together once you've reached rank 100. I feel like they're holding back. I know the game can do so much more. You don't even get to fight a tempered version of Zoshia or a more difficult version of Zoshia. So they're definitely holding all of this content back for a later release date. They want... And I feel like they want everyone to get to a certain level before they start releasing these new monsters, which absolutely destroy our asses. So, what to do? So right now, I've pretty much done the story in Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm at the end game. What am I doing? I'm just, I'm having fun with the game now. So I'm going on these 8-star hunts. I'm hunting Arkveld, and I'm just trying out the different weapons. I've crafted a hammer most recently, in addition to my longsword, and I'm just enjoying bashing the monsters' skulls in. I was playing it yesterday, and I was just having such a great time. I was just laughing to myself, and my girlfriend was like, "What are you laughing for?" And I'm just like, the guy with the hammer is just making me laugh. Like, I don't know if you've tried the hammer yet in Monster Hunter Wilds, but there's this new move where you can just spin the hammer over and over again, and it just looks so ridiculous, but it's just so much fun to do, and I'm just having a blast. So yeah, if you're looking for something to do in Wilds, I'd recommend to try out different weapons. You might even find a weapon that you thought that you hated but is actually really good. I've already done that in Monster Hunter World. Got 500 hours in that game. Yeah, it's quite bad. I'm also thinking of actually going back to Monster Hunter World and getting the boys on it, because they've never had the experience of Monster Hunter World. They've never fought Behemoth, and they've never fought Fatalis, or they've never beat Fatalis. One of my boys has tried to fight Fatalis on my account. He's like, yo, what is this fight? It's actually ridiculous. Fatalis is insane. It's so much fun. But yeah, there's a lot to do in the Monster Hunter franchise. If you're done with Wilds right now, I'd recommend to try the other Monster Hunter games if you really, really are looking for more content, or just try a different weapon. That'll really, really change up what you can do in the game right now. I also haven't even tried to block the monster yet in Monster Hunter Wilds. That's something I'm yet to do. I want to try and master the Charge Blade, but Charge Blade is actually like so confusing for me, and I just don't understand how to like fill the files up and then release the files. So I'm like trying to absorb Charge Blade into my brain. I've always struggled with Charge Blade. Like, it's just it doesn't make any sense to me. I thought I'd struggle with Longsword, but mastered it, and that's my main. I'm a Longsword main. I know, very newbie. I like Hammer too, though. Hammer's also sick. I also want to try out Hunting Horn. I want to try the block mechanics, because I've not even tried the block mechanics yet in the Monster Hunter Wilds. There's loads to try out, and there's loads of side quests to do as well. There's a lot to chew on in Wilds, and I've played about 50 hours currently, so I think I've got my money's worth. Usually don't get 50 hours in a normal game, but 50 hours in a Monster Hunter game I feel like is acceptable for the base release, and I'm still going to keep on playing it because I know that they're going to release more epic stuff as time goes on. Now, overall, Monster Hunter Wilds is the same as every other Monster Hunter. It's a great addition to the franchise that looks really good, probably the best out of all the other Monster Hunters in the universe. It's satisfying to play. It does lack some challenge on release, but I'd still tell you to pick this up, especially if you've got some friends to play with. Even if you don't have any friends to play with, you can still have a really good time. I was playing World when I had no one to really play with. I played through that basically by myself, firing out SOS flares, and then other hunters would come in, and I had a great time with World. Like, I still think World is my best Monster Hunter, but it's a bit biased because it was my first one, and I had such a good time with it. The graphics in this game, they're really good. Like, when you're fighting Ray Dow in that lightning cave, if you're fighting him in 4K, I can't even imagine how good it looks. So yeah, the graphics, they're really good. The monsters are all impactful. Now, some people might say the monsters are all easy, but I feel like they're all still fun fights to do. And I feel like that's what takes precedence. Like, are all the monsters fun? Yes. Okay, they've done a good job. Even if they are easy, like, if you're having a fun time fighting the monster, like, that's it. That's what you should be doing when you're gaming. You should be having fun. The weapons all have slight additions added onto them. So there's also like the longsword has this new slash where you can like press R2 after you do a helm breaker and then sheath the sword, which will do some insane combo. Maybe chop a tail off. The shit you can do in this game is insane. The hammer, like I said, has that new spinny move where you just like all the time. But yeah, there's just so much to try out. All the new weapons have new additions. The blocking maneuver I've not even tried out yet. I'll need to block some monsters and be like the biggest badass I've ever seen. There will be more content as time goes on, and if anyone is on the fence, I would recommend Monster Hunter Wilds as their first game to play. It's a good game. It's a good game. You're gonna have some fun with it. There's massive set pieces. Some of the monsters you fight are really, really cool. Monster Hunter Wilds is a really great game. And To top it all off, when you're eating food, goddamn, the food looks amazing. All of the food looks so good in that game. They've put so much effort into the food, it's actually ridiculous. The food cutscenes are actually top tier. But anyway, that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching. And I shall see you all next time. Oh, and come watch my live streams. I'm trying to be more active on the YouTube and creating live streams / clips. And hopefully today, more videos. Been lacking on the videos, but I'll try better. Thanks, everyone. Peace.